Mom, shut up! We're doing a podcast!
Welcome back to another episode of Pushing the Issue with Rocky, Shadow, and Golden.
What's up? Sorry, messing with my game.
And the awkward silences are back. Golden, fulfill your duties.
Sorry, I totally forgot. So, Rocky, how was your week?
Good.
Oh, he's starting off with a bang.
Yeah.
I corrected him and he fixed it immediately. So.
I'm a boomer,
Woo-hoo.
so I don't know.
You're definitely not a boomer. I think you're like the oldest millennial.
Yeah, I'm up there in millennial years. I'm the king of hating when old people complain about our generation.
Seriously. So frustrating.
Oh,
You raised us. Complain all you want, but usually the people complaining have the worst kids too. That's the best part.
Yeah.
So,
You know, like that one guy that called his daughter unhealthy in public. What did he say?
oh, yeah. Let's not get into that. So,
the moral of the story is if you want to hear a great rant,
catch up with Rock Dog.
catch up with Rocky on the old boomer
That'll
situation.
really just catch up with Rocky if you want to hear a great rant.
I do love to rant. Yeah, pretty uneventful week, I guess. Just did my stuff. Kind of been lazy. Haven't been getting up. I get up at 3:40, but I sit on the couch and argue with myself until it's time to just go to work instead of go to the gym. So, or until a baby wakes up and wants to snuggle, then I'm done. So,
Then he's like, oh, I can't go to the gym now.
yeah. How about you, Shadow?
I've been good. Nothing much going on either. Kind of a slow week.
Sweet.
I think most of the events from our week are going to make up the bulk of the podcast because Rocky and I had a debate this week. In our house, that means we had a screaming match, but we still love each other.
Agreed. And both of us are like, dude, why are you yelling? The other one's like, why are you yelling?
It's like, I'm not yelling, you're yelling.
So, it's awesome.
Super funny. So, I've got kind of a fun story from my week.
All right.
I was driving along, as I'm prone to
Oh, wait.
do.
Golden, how was your week?
I've got kind of a fun story from my
Golden was
week.
like, I'm leading out on this one, bro.
See?
I'm not letting any awkward silence. So.
Hey, I'm trying to do my job.
I got corrected already this morning.
Too early for correction. Driving along, as I'm prone to do, and some will say, Jack A cut me off. And I was very upset, and then a short while later, like 10 seconds or so, he merged again to turn right off the road we were on. And as I drove past him, he flipped me off. And I was like, what?
The old classic.
Yeah, I was amazed. I was just astounded that I was flipped off. And the only thing that makes sense in my mind is he looked in his rearview mirror when he cut me off, and he saw me say something that could be taken as racist. Something like, frickin' Mexicans.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And, he was a Mexican.
Right.
So I wonder if he saw me say that, and he was mad that I was racist.
Did you say that? Are you racist?
I did say that.
Oftentimes. I don't know. People are weird, dude. Like, they just want, like, you didn't slow down enough for him to get to merge, or like one time I got flipped off because instead of slowing down so he could get in, I sped up past him so he could get in, and he flipped me off. So, but I don't take kindly to that sort of thing. I just swerve at him and stuff.
So there's always also the third option where he's just a bad person.
Could be. And I don't consider myself a racist, but the times when I am the closest to racist are when I'm driving. But it doesn't matter who cuts me off, because, depending on what color they happen to be, I will say that exact phrase, freaking blank. Even if it's a white dude, I'll say, freaking Kyle, depending on what kind of car they're driving.
What kind of car does Kyle drive?
Typically the hatchback with the frickin' rice rocket coming out the back.
Nice.
Just about any car Jace owns is a Kyle car.
He has a friend named Kyle, actually, so...
Exactly.
Super duper fitting.
Isn't that our cousin?
Yeah, he's like our fifth cousin. Twice removed, or some, like, we're very loosely related. Pebbles is more closely related to Brady Miller than Dusty is to Kyle.
It'd be interesting to see what people say about me, because I drive, like, junky cars, dude. I don't know.
You would get frickin' Mexican.
My Camry is like old lady car.
Yeah.
Freaking boomer.
Lexuses get frickin' grandpa.
Mm-hmm. I see.
Frickin' grandpa.
Dope. Well, sweet, dude.
Yeah, that's my fun story. So let's hear about this debate.
The debate. I'll explain it.
Théoden King's speech. Can you recite it for us?
Absolutely not.
His famous speech before
the one right before the...
To the Red Day something? No, I don't.
Okay. Do you want to tell us what your version is?
Yeah, I would like that.
A red day, ere the sun rises.
A what day? Before every day?
A dark day, a red day, ere the sun
you're
rises.
way off, bro.
You're wrong.
Dang.
Spoiler alert, you're wrong.
So much for Tolkien, nerd.
Okay, so we were...
Never said I was a Tolkien nerd. Said I was a nerd.
Oh, all right.
I have a lot more subjects to cover than you. You only have to focus on
also,
Tolkien.
The appendices book, the size of the Bible that you brought in today, would argue otherwise.
That's all 3 books. It's not just appendices.
Right.
So, the other day we're talking, and naturally we're making fun of what a cheeseball Legolas is in the books, or in the movie. Like, a lot of his lines are super cheesy.
Yeah.
Legolas, what do thine elf eyes see?
They run as if their whips of their very masters are behind them.
And we're having this dialogue back and forth.
What was the other one, though? The hilarious one.
I can't remember.
What does your heart tell you? That one always gets me. That's actually Gandalf, though.
What does your heart tell you? No. Oh, no. That is one of the Merases, lest mine eyes be deceived by some spell.
The only problem with a podcast is none of our listeners can see the joy in your eyes while you say that.
Sorry.
Lest mine eyes be
You're gonna make Dad mad because he thinks we should have a camera already.
Sorry, guys. Sorry to bring that up.
It's all good.
But the problem you run into with Legolas is after that, you kind of run out of like lines that he has, like period.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a ton of. The only other one is you can't die side by side with a friend, and that's like a little bit more at the very end when Gimli's like, I never thought I'd die next to an elf. He goes, what about dying side by side with a friend? It's like, oh, that's cute, dude. Well, you can't. That's like all his lines. That's 100% of his line. So naturally, I moved on to a different character. The next cheesiest line in my brain was Théoden's speech, and this is what I said to Rocky. A sore day, a red day, ere the sun rises. And Rocky said, I don't think it says sore.
No, that's not what he said. I said, does he say sore? Because I didn't know.
Oh, right, sorry. And I said, I don't know. I don't have any idea. That's just what I always thought it was.
Sure.
So, we Googled it. Rocky, what'd you find out on the Google?
It's a sword day.
Oh, okay.
But then we looked up the clip, and it's hard to tell what he says.
It's super hard.
And I said, well, I'm going with sword day because it makes way more sense. To which Shadow said,
It does not make more sense.
No.
I'm open to being wrong, but it doesn't make more sense.
See,
And that was the great debate. It lasted an hour, potentially, like the entire drive home. Sword Day does not make more sense than Sword Day.
the problem with me being thrown into the middle of this debate is I distinctly remember from the movie Théoden King saying, a dark day, a red day, ere the sun rises.
Yeah, that's wrong. We already Googled that much.
That doesn't make any sense either.
Yes, it does.
No.
A day...
Oh my gosh.
He is
Here we are.
his
You're
troops
such
up.
an idiot.
You don't say,
let's get ready for battle. You're going to be really sore afterwards, but...
That's not what sore means. That means it's going to be hard. That means it's
Yeah,
gonna be tough.
you don't tell them that. You say,
Really?
get your sword and cut off heads. You don't be like, let's get amped up for battle. It's going to be really hard, though. Let's get pumped up. That's not what you do.
You never said that to scouts you're taking on a hike. This hike is going to be hard, but I know you guys
That's
can
not
do it.
battle. You're not fighting goblins.
You're
You're
motivating people the
You do
same
not
way.
want your scouts to hike until they are in pain to run up a hill because they're pumped. But you want your soldiers to run up that hill and to sword.
That's the problem. That's not the only meaning of sword.
I just want to step in. real
You
quick.
just said, he said it's going to be really hard. That's what you said.
But then you said
That was the definition
It's really
you
going to hurt
used.
you. You don't want your scouts to
That
hike
was
till their
the
sword. That's
definition
not what I'm
you
saying.
used.
There's 8 definitions
Okay,
of sword.
you don't want your scouts. You want your scouts to pace themselves. You don't want them to go full bore. That's what you're saying. What I'm saying is, you don't want your scouts to go full bore, but you do want your soldiers to go full bore.
And how are those different?
This is gonna be a really hard battle, so
That's not what he
get
says.
ready, folks.
That's not what he says.
You
That has a
said that
different
was
tone.
your definition.
That's
you
what it
tell,
means, but it has a
you
different
tell
tone.
your scouts that it's gonna be kind of a hard hike. That's exactly what you said.
I
That's
know.
the example
and,
you gave.
And you would be softer with your scouts, but with your soldiers, you might say a sword day instead of it's gonna be really difficult because that's a lot
That's
softer.
stupid. But you would not say that. You would say, "A sword day. Get your sword out and let's chop off some heads."
Golan, what does it say in the book?
I'm searching for it right now, but I do want to step in and say Rocky and I apparently had very different scout hikes because I fought goblins on every one of my scout hikes.
Yeah. That's a reasonable
I never
argument.
did. I was never comfortable enough with my nerdiness in front of my friends, so I missed out on a lot in my childhood because of that. But my kids aren't the same. We fight goblins all the time.
Good.
But we don't hike that far either. And when we go on a hike, I say, pace yourselves. But then when we're fighting goblins, I say, get in there! Even though fighting goblins would be way more dangerous than
He's
hiking.
not telling you to pace themselves.
Yes, he is.
No, he's not.
That's what sword day would be.
No,
Yeah.
no, that is not the only option.
You said it.
I
You said
took
it.
a
Would you
case
tell your scouts that this is going to be a hard
There's
hike?
8
You
different
just said.
a
You-
sword
you
day
gave the
simply
example.
doesn't make less sense than sword
Oh,
day.
100%.
Who have you heard
It
say
makes
describe a day that
1,000%
way
less
ever?
sense. It makes 1,000% less sense.
And
That argument is flawed because there are many things said in the Lord
that's
of the
fair.
Rings that
That's
no
fair.
one says.
That's fair. But it sounds ridiculous calling it a sword day.
Why?
Equally
They're
as
using
ridiculous
swords
as
to
sword
kill
day.
goblins. Are you kidding me? More ridiculous than a sword day?
I asked
What are you
Noah and
talking
Canale,
about?
and they both were like, "Yeah, it doesn't make any more sense to say sword day. It sounds weird. It sounds.
Who said
it
that?
sounds wrong." Noah and Canale.
Oh boy, Noah and Canawe. I hope
Hey,
you're listening.
how many people do you
Your
have on
opinion
your
means
side?
nothing to me.
How many people do you have on your side? 0.
Golden.
He's just not telling anybody.
No, I still believe it's Dark Day.
Wait, no, that's not a. Does it make way more sense to say sword day, or is it?
Way more sense.
That's my entire premise. I'm not even saying I'm right. It could be
Way
sword day.
more
I'm
sense.
open to
Dude,
that.
Sword day
I don't think
doesn't
it makes,
make any sense.
I don't think it makes way more sense.
He's pumping up his troops. You don't say, you're going to get hurt here. You say, get out there and hurt people. Use your sword to hurt people.
See, you're being ridiculous.
I'm
Your
not being
stance-
ridiculous.
Your stance is so limited.
No, it's not.
Yes, it
No, it's
is.
not. No, it's not. No, it's not.
Your
My
stance is
stance is, if I were in the generalship, I wouldn't say, hey, this is going to suck. I would say, let's go kill them.
Yeah, you're a different general
With
than-
our swords.
You're a different general than.
That's why I'd
Théoden
win
King.
battles. And Théoden said sword day.
Well, potentially he said sword day because he wasn't planning on winning that battle, and then he died.
No, he said sword day. That's what
That's
I
what
tend
Google
to believe
said.
the Googlers. He's going to look it up, but I'm sure he said sword day.
I'm
Because
open
he's
to
a
that.
good general. They won the battle.
Okay, here's Palantir, so I'm getting close. Isn't the Palantir right after this battle?
I don't know.
No. They find the Palantir at Isengard.
It's the Battle of Minas Tirith, so it's the last battle. Well, not the very
The
last
last battle of the second book.
No, it's in the third book. Return of the King.
You're looking at Helm's Deep.
Oh, yeah.
He does.
This
he
is
gives
when
it-
they reinforced Minas Tirith.
Oh,
Oh,
Where was
that's
Gondor?
right, okay. Where was Gondor?
Then they end up going. Because he's
And-
not a great general or king, but for my argument, he was.
Wait, why do you think that makes him not a great general or king?
He's not a great general or king because they fled to Helm's Deep when they should have stood and fought.
Oh, okay.
Remember? Come on, man. Aragorn talks smack the whole movie because of it.
Okay. I just don't understand why that makes him a poor king in your eyes.
Dude, Aragorn tells me to believe someone's a bad king. I just believe it. I don't think about it any further.
Okay.
And that brings us to the next Google rabbit hole we went down. While you continue looking that up, here's another question. Théoden's speech.
Oh, Noah and who else?
Canaway.
I really do care about your opinion, so I was just trying to win the argument.
Which potentially cannot be won.
This is the section of the fight where I go through and apologize for all the people that I've just dropped nukes on in order to win the fight. So, I'm a fighter, though. Not Mitt Romney. I'm a fighter.
Oh, boy.
Ooh, shots fired.
So, Théoden's speech. We were talking about it. We were discussing it. And so we were both on our phones driving home, finding as much information on as we could, furiously yelling at each other. And I ran into a Google forum that asked this question: which speech is better, Théoden King's at the Battle of Minas Tirith, or Aragorn's at the final stand in front of the Black Gate?
Do you remember that one, Golden?
Or do we need to act some of it out for you?
Better act some of it out for me.
Because we're thrilled to do that. I see in your eyes the same fear that would take the heart of me. That one? I can't remember the whole thing. I'll Google it and recite the whole thing.
But not this day.
This day we fight.
You know?
For Frodo.
Right. Are you listening to us, book reader?
Yeah.
You remember the speech?
Vaguely.
Which is better?
Better?
What? Vaguely? These are like two of the best parts in the whole book, or in the whole movie.
I am in a very different nerd hole in my life, and so it's hard for me to switch nerd holes. I'm currently in a deep Brandon Sanderson nerd hole, and so it's a little difficult for me to jump into a Lord of the Rings nerd hole.
Which one would have inspired you more? Do you remember being inspired more by one or the other?
I always really liked Théoden's.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm glad that we have somebody with the wrong, stupid opinion.
You guys.
Théoden's makes no sense. He says sword day.
Yeah, I can't find his speech.
I'll find it. I'm the best at this game.
All right.
I still think you're too far up in the book.
The Muster of Rohan? You think that's wrong?
I think the Muster of Rohan is Helm's Deep. Oh, no.
So, I remember Théoden's speech more clearly, and that speaks to me that
You probably liked it
I
more.
liked it more. Yeah. But, that being said, Aragorn was equally inspiring, and I always liked Aragorn's character more than I liked Théoden's when it comes to the movies.
Okay. Here's the full speech. To refresh your brain.
Aragorn's?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we pretty much gave you Théoden's. He says a little bit more right before.
Now, are you guys basing this off the movies or off the books?
Off the movies.
Okay.
That was what the Google forum was basing it off of. And I'll read you some of the Google forum stuff in a minute, because I left it open on my phone because it was unbelievable to me. Here's the speech. Sons of Gondor, of Rohan, my brothers, I see in your eyes the same fear that would take the heart of me. A day may come when the courage of men fails, when we forsake our friends and break all bonds of fellowship. But it is not this day, an hour of wolves and shattered shields, when the age of men comes crashing down. But it is not this day. This day we fight. By all that you hold dear on this good earth, I bid you stand, men of the West. And then there's drama. Silence. He turns, looks for Frodo, and charges into battle.
Yells for Frodo.
That reminds me of a story. It's a little different, but one time I played lacrosse, and for those of you that don't know, to begin a lacrosse game, you have 6 players, 3 on either team, and there's 2 in the center, and 2 on each wing. And I was on a wing with a child, and as soon as the whistle was blown, this kid ran in with his lacrosse stick extended in front of him, screaming, "For Narnia!"
That's hilarious.
And it was wonderful. And he got there first because I was laughing too hard to play.
Good on you.
But that's what I think of whenever anyone says "for blank."
Nice. Because only nerds play lacrosse, apparently.
Yeah.
What'd you find out, Rocky?
Arise, arise, riders of Théoden. Fell deeds awake, fire and slaughter. Spear shall be shaken, shield be splintered. A sword day, a red day,
Interesting.
ere the sun rises. Ride now, ride to Gondor.
Interesting. Aragorn's speech isn't in the book. Just Théoden's
So
speeches.
it's a full Peter Jackson specialty.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Rocky loves Peter Jackson's
sure?
liberties.
Yeah.
Where does it say that?
Several Wikipedia pages.
Scouring of the Shire.
Here, I'll just read through some of them.
How do... I do remember they do have a debate with the spokesman of Mordor. That's in the book.
Yeah. And that's also in the extended edition with they call him the mouthpiece of Sauron or something, or the mouth of Sauron.
Mouth of Sauron. That one I know because I fought him a bunch of times in the video games. Hashtag nerd life.
Yeah, for real. Okay. So we go to our Google forum now. While he looks to see if he can find that.
It doesn't matter. I believe him.
The question is, whose battle speech was more rousing and inspiring, Théoden King's or Aragorn's? And then you go through. We probably went through 150 responses on this thing. Théoden. All of them. 100% of the people are like, oh, for sure. Théoden's my favorite character. And that's unbelievable to me. He's a huge dick.
Yeah, he's definitely not my favorite character, but I feel that his speech was more rousing. I'm more likely to go fight for Gondor after that speech than I am to go fight
Really?
for Aragorn.
Really? After he tells you how hard it's going to be?
He doesn't tell me how hard it's going to be. He tells me get my sword ready.
I know. It's a joke. Chill.
Yeah, I know.
Chill, bro.
Again, I'm still not saying a
I love
sword
how
day makes
Shadow,
more
like,
sense.
explains his side to his friends, doesn't argue my side at all, and
I
then
absolutely
uses
argue
them
your
as a
side.
witness.
Pause. I absolutely argued my
Does it
side.
make more sense to say sore, though?
No,
Because
I absolutely
he
argued for
said
your
something
side.
crazy like, a word day, and that doesn't make any sense.
Man, I'm glad that you're projecting your own insecurities onto me.
I don't have anything to be insecure about. Mine makes sense.
No, that's
And
how
it's
you
in the book.
that's how
It
you
makes so
explain
much
it to your
sense that
friends.
the King
I
J.R.R.
was
Tolkien
open-minded.
put it in his book.
I was open-minded. I explained it to my friends from a very neutral standpoint.
Dude, I mean,
And I wasn't
would you be
convinced that I was
open-minded
right.
towards the Church of Satan? I mean, there's only so much open-mindedness you can have, you know?
Potentially, you should be open-minded to the Church of
No,
Satan.
no, you really shouldn't. It's Satan.
How can you prove that it's the wrong church?
Because I can't prove anything's the right or wrong church.
Yeah, so you go with what you believe.
But Satan's the bad guy.
Yeah, that's accurate.
So it's Théoden for a
There
minute.
you go.
But also, potentially, we look
So
at...
you think that Satan has a worm tongue whispering in his ear?
And
There are lots
we,
of things that I can't explain in
Because
this
Worm
universe.
Tongue was the bad guy and then died the bad guy.
True that.
So,
we look at all...
which is more like Satan? What is that sound? Is somebody in the bathroom?
I think it's
No,
his
it's
air
the air.
vent.
You could close the vent.
Oh.
That
Yeah,
didn't work. We look at all rebels as the good guy or the bad guy based on which side of the coin we're on. So some people look at Satan as the good guy because
So
he's
you think
rebelling against
Satan would
an
be the
unjust
good
God.
guy if he had won?
Huh?
You think Satan would have been the good guy if he had won?
history is written by the
Potentially.
winners.
History is often written by the winners. However,
Right.
Often,
And-
I would argue exclusively.
And
And-
all the
and-
oppression that was coming from him being in charge is.
and that doesn't
would
necessarily mean
indicate
that
he's a good guy.
he was a good guy. Even if win or lose, that doesn't change the facts of whether or not he was a good guy. But I'm just saying, there's some amount of open-mindedness required.
And we're also talking about whether or not he has a worm tongue in his ear. We don't know. He could.
Satan.
Yeah.
I think he is the worm tongue, sir.
Nah, I think you're right.
Actually, he's the he's the Saruman, and his little demons are the worm tongues.
Yeah. I think he's definitely closer to Sauron than he has Saruman, who has worm tongues. What do you think? Isn't that the parallels that Tolkien was trying to draw?
Possibly.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm sure it is.
Well, Melkor has more parallels to Satan than Sauron does.
Now you're getting real nerdy, bro.
Super nerdy, like
Just saying.
Silmarillion nerdy.
You read the Silmarillion?
Yeah. I actually finished the Silmarillion again last summer.
Again?
I read it again.
Dude, I
I
could
read-
barely get through it once, dude. That thing was brutal.
It's better the second time. It's an
I
easier
doubt
read.
it.
That's
It
funny
is.
because I love Lord of the Rings, and I have a bookmark in this book. See that one about halfway? And I've been at that point for like 2 years. Because while I'm reading it, I love it, but anytime it comes to start reading it, I really struggle.
I get
Agreed.
that. I get that. Yeah, I read it last summer when I was in Africa. I just read it a little bit before bed, and then I read it on the plane.
Did you bless the rains?
Down in
Africa?
Africa.
You already know I did. Yeah, I think there's a certain amount of open-mindedness required in all things in our life. That's the point I'm trying to make, though. And
Sure, I agree.
we can't truly stand
But
on
you're
the side
not
of
safe.
God.
You're not
unless
safe just
we-
writing off the Church of Satan the second you hear its name.
No, I don't think I don't think that's an appropriate approach to religion. We need to be there's no way to stand fully against Satan unless we understand the arguments that he's bringing against us. And to
Okay.
understand that, we would need to understand the
I'm
argument.
not
for
saying
the
don't
Church of
learn
Satan.
about the church. What I'm saying is you can write off the second you hear the name Church of Satan, you're not going to join that church.
I'm not going to join it because I'm at a point where
How dare you be so close-minded, sir?
I'm at a point where I've learned enough about Satan's arguments that I'm not interested.
What does
in
the Church of Satan believe?
in Satan? I honestly don't know. I don't have any idea.
I've actually
They
heard...
would tell you they don't believe in Satan.
Yeah, I've heard they say that they don't worship Satan, which is interesting.
It's a hedonistic religion. You should do anything.
Interesting. And I don't know that.
I'm
so-
explaining the tenets to Mr. Open-Minded here.
That's the thing.
you off.
That's the thing. How can I write it off? I don't know. As far as I know, they worship Satan, and so I don't
Called
like
the
Satan.
Church of Satan.
They
That's
don't
how
worship
you
Satan.
can write it off.
They don't worship Satan.
So?
By your own argument, there's some amount of open-mindedness that should be required.
So let me ask you this. Would you rather run into a member of a church who worships Satan but demonstrates self-control in all things, or what does Jocko Willink preach about?
Discipline.
Self-control and discipline, or a Church of Satan member who is purely hedonistic? Which would you rather have in society?
I don't really know.
The self-control one.
Agreed.
They seem equally problematic to me.
Why?
If you're worshiping Satan, you're inviting a great evil into your life. It's
Some
a lot
would-
more subversive.
Some would argue that hedonism is worshiping Satan.
Yeah, I would say that the hedonist view is more subversive because they're worshiping Satan in everything but name. Whereas the Satan worshiper...
If you do everything that the Savior teaches as far as battling the natural man, you just say you worship Satan,
Potentially. Yeah, you might be right. I don't know. I guess I've never really thought about it in those terms. The argument that comes to mind would be an argument for or against communism in my brain. That follows a similar parallel. In the discussion that we're having, because the communists were in open rebellion, or the Communist Party was in open rebellion against the existing Russian government.
Tsar.
Yeah, the Tsar.
It's Khazar.
Overthrow the government and become the government, and then rewrite history to make themselves out to be the good guy. And for years and years and years, the communist revolution was seen as a good thing because they got the opportunity to write history and say that they were the good guy, right?
Right. That did zero good, muting that.
Yeah, I saw. Oh, my bad, folks. I muted mine.
Oh, well, you can see it on our...
That's what I pointed at.
And so there's two sides to every story. However, in my brain, and it's not perfect because the Tsarist government wasn't a perfect government either, by any means, but it was seemingly better than communism because communism was so bad. Does that make sense? Kind of how I drew that connection? I don't feel like I made that make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. So, as far as
dope.
Church of Satan goes,
great.
but...
Well, the Communist Party would be a parallel to the Church of Satan in that it's the great and abominable church and the whore of all the earth. Sorry, my own opinion. Doctrine according to Shadow.
Wait a minute. Didn't we have a straight-up apostle say that was the Catholic Church?
He had a prophet say it was the communist church, so I don't know.
That's
I
true.
think that the apostle later apologized for his words.
Oh,
And I think he said it on more than one occasion and apologized every time.
On more than one occasion. He was very known for apologizing
Oh,
after
but I'm
he
sorry
said
about that.
really bad
who
things.
was it?
I think it was Doctrine according to
Bruce?
Elder McConkie.
Bruce R., huh?
Yeah, go.
Um,
I don't know. Yeah, I guess I don't know. The point of the story is, I was open-minded when I explained it to my friends, and I was open to them calling me an idiot because
Sure.
I'm quite
I
used
can-
to that.
I can tell, by the way, that they agreed with you instead of me because my argument was far better.
That they don't both make sense?
No, about the sword. No, yeah, that they don't make sense. Yeah, 100%.
No, because that was your argument.
You
That's the whole
don't
premise.
amp up your crew, your troops, by saying, this is going to be really hard. That's not what you do. You say, get your sword and cut off heads.
I feel like it's more inspiring to me to be told the truth of what I'm facing rather than
They know
get
the
your
truth.
sword.
They know the truth of what they're facing.
Did you feel like I only told him
You
my side
need-
of the argument there, and that
you
he,
need
that's why he
to-
agrees with
you
me?
need
That I
to-
only told him my side of the argument?
You need to amp... Yes, you did. I told him my side of the argument, dummy. You need to amp yourself up for a battle, though. The time for...
The Bible says the truth will set you
The
free.
time for reflecting on how big the army is the night before when no one's sleeping. That everyone knows, no one got any sleep because they know what they're facing the next day. That morning, you're the general, you get them amped up, you say, let's get this done, gentlemen. It's not like they didn't know what they were going against.
Perhaps you're right.
I can definitely see both sides, although it doesn't matter which side we see because we know what the truth is.
And we do.
So
I
this
can-
argument has been
we know what they
completely
say.
pointless.
Wait,
But
yeah, I agree.
even
We
so.
do know what the truth is. SOAR makes no sense at all.
Nope.
It can make
100%.
sense.
No, not
It
the
can make
issue.
sense.
No,
All
not
right.
the truth.
So-
It makes 10% of the sense that SWORD makes.
Also not true.
When was the last time you played organized sports? Wrestling in
No,
junior
soccer.
high?
Soccer with
Well,
you guys. With you
soccer
guys.
doesn't count. I'm
He-
talking
he's talking like
with
with
a
a
coach and a full team at your back, not a ragtag group
yeah.
of crappy soccer players.
Wrestling in junior high?
Okay. So, in my experience,
No, probably. Yeah, wrestling in junior high.
that's kind of what I thought. You steered away from the sports, and I'm not saying that we're better than you, but Shadow and I didn't steer away from that, so we're a little better than you. But just kidding.
He thought that was super funny.
I really did. So, I don't know if Shadow feels the same way, but I always preferred it when the coach said, this team's really good. They're really strong, and they have a strong defense, and here's how we're going to beat them.
At practice.
Before the games.
Right before the game?
Yeah.
10 minutes before the game you'd have that talk?
Very frequently.
Yeah.
That's a bizarre thing for me.
And it's like looking at the Cowboy and McGregor fight that we witnessed relatively recently. The Cowboy went in knowing what he was up against, and I'm sure his coach said, he's going to come out strong, but you got to stick with it and keep,
and you know
wear him down.
Do you know what Connor's mindset is before fights?
No.
I can beat the world. This guy has nothing on me. All through practice, he learns his strengths, he learns to counter them, and then that night, he is unstoppable in his own mind. And I've seen several synopsises of the way he thinks before a fight, and it's never, oh, this guy's really good at this. It's always, I will destroy this man, no matter what.
Interesting.
And that's not the argument we're having. Not that that's not effective. And I'm not saying sword day doesn't make sense. I have never once said sword day doesn't make sense.
No, what is the argument we're having then?
You say that sword day makes way more sense.
It does
than
make
sword
way more
day.
sense because
It
he
makes-
was.
it
First
makes
of
the
all,
same
he
amount of
said
sense.
it. That makes it make way more sense. And second of all, where am I at? Second of all, there's a professional athlete who completely diminishes any accomplishment his opponents have
Very
in
top
order
of
to
his
win
game.
his fights.
And it
He
works
doesn't
for him.
say
And it
to
works for him.
himself, I'm going to get sore this day, or this is going to be really hard for me. No, he says, I'm going in there, I'm going to put my shoulder into that guy's nose and put him on his back.
I feel like Jocko Willink motivates people the exact opposite way. Yeah, it's going to suck. Let it suck. It's going to be awesome. How many times have you heard something along those lines out of Jocko Willink's mouth? Yeah, it sucks. Get over it. Do some squats.
I don't think Jocko tells himself that in the morning, though. You can tell yourself all that all night. But
Théoden's not telling
if
himself
you're-
this speech.
if you're
He's telling it
thinking-
to his men.
It doesn't matter. It's the same concept. If you're thinking that morning, oh, this is going to suck, you're
No,
done.
it is not the same
You're not going to
concept.
make it. You're not going to make it. You're not going to get up.
Motivating yourself and motivating your men is not the same concept.
Then why'd you bring it up? You're the one that said Jocko motivates people to motivate themselves the same way.
No, because he motivates people that way. He doesn't motivate them to
Jocko
motivate themselves.
says
He
Jocko's
tells
all
them.
about self-motivation. He's
Right.
not about motivating people to
By
go to war.
motivating them.
That was what he did in the Army,
By
in the
motivating.
Navy.
And you don't think he told people it's going to suck?
No, I think he said, let's get in there. We're Navy SEALs. We're going to mess this crap up.
I don't know. I am not convinced based on what I've seen of his videos, him trying to motivate other people. He tells them, look, it sucks. Getting up in the morning sucks. Get over it. Do some squats.
Yeah, that's the practice, not the morning of. That's what I'm telling you. He wouldn't tell you that the morning of. He'd say, get up. You got this. Conquer the day.
The entire argument is that it doesn't make more sense than a sword
It
day.
makes way
No,
more
it doesn't.
sense. Yes, it is.
You're
In
getting
the
hung up on nothing.
In the context of the timing, it makes way more sense. 100%.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
And Golden's not going to step in and choose a side.
I don't want him to choose a side. I know who's right. I'm right. I'm Conor McGregor. You're Cowboy. You're laying on your back bleeding out, bro.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
No, I am absolutely not.
Conor, man, I just love fighting. Conor just busted me up.
Yeah, that is absolutely right.
You're still worried
think
about
you
how
know this
hard the
argument.
fight's going to be, and I've already won it.
No.
Yeah,
No,
you're
no,
like,
I'm not.
This is going to be
I
a
have
really
no
hard
worry
fight, but
because
I'm
I'm
going
right,
in to
bro.
win. And you lost.
No, I did not lose. That is
Then why are
absolutely
you
incorrect.
crying and laying on your back bleeding, dude?
Oh, is that what's happening?
Yeah, look at you. You're even sitting in that lower chair than me.
Because he's a nice host and gave you the top chair.
I
That's a
wanted
bad
to stand. He
argument.
made me sit on the bench.
That's not even a little true.
That
You
is
said,
exactly
I want to
what happened.
stand.
You
and
wanted
then-
I wanna
and
stand.
then
You
when
were
the
the
first
first
guy
one to
down.
sit. I
Wait,
don't care. I
wait.
wanna
We're
sit.
getting off this argument. You're creating this into a personal attack. That is not an actual argument in form. I have had this conversation too many times this week to deal with your crap, dude. That is not a real argument. You're sitting in a lower chair. Oh, I'm right. You're bleeding. You're bleeding out. See, I'm right. I won.
The argument is messed out. I'm bringing up other stuff to save the audience in a comedic way. I'm sorry if you took that bad. But I'm sure the people are tired of listening to the argument.
Jumping back a little, Shadow said I wasn't going to take a side. I already took the Sword Day side.
Yeah.
Because that's what's in the book.
He took your side.
That is not the argument we were having.
He took your side.
He said in the book.
He said Sword Day makes just as much sense as Sword Day.
I didn't say
So how did you win the
Oh,
argument?
he didn't
You took
say
my
makes
side.
just as much sense.
But it does make sense.
I said it makes sense.
So how did you
Just
win the
makes
argument
sense.
if he took my side?
He didn't. He just said he took my side. I said it makes
didn't
sense.
say that
It just
either.
makes less sense.
You're going to have to take a side here.
No, I'm arbitrating. We're at the middle ground here. Sword Day
You're fired.
makes sense because it's true. All right, later.
Lead on, arbitrator.
That's fine. I've been fired as arbitrator.
You don't have to take a side, dude.
I know.
Okay. How's it going to change either of our minds if he takes a
won't.
side?
It
It just makes
absolutely
him
won't.
the enemy to one or the other person.
It declares a winner.
No, it doesn't.
It does not declare a winner.
Whether or not a winner is declared, will your opinion
You
change?
could get the entire world on your side,
exactly.
and I wouldn't
And-
change my mind.
Exactly.
Sword
Do
Day
you think
is a
Cowboy's opinion changed that he is a better fighter than McGregor?
Yeah, 100%. He got the kicked out of him. It's different.
I don't know.
There's physical consequences to him being wrong. There's zero consequences for us. And we'll
That's
never
true.
know.
That's
We
fair.
can't argue either way because we'll never know. Even if Théoden said one day to one army, a sword day, and then sword day to the other army, who's to say either army would win because of the speech? He's just trying to calm his nerves. Oh, well, I'm scared, so I'm sure all these guys are scared. I'm going to give a stupid speech to unscare these guys, which didn't work. They all fought the same way they would have fought.
I don't know that I agree with that statement.
You think
And-
that the speech worked?
I think that a speech can have an effect because it's a dramatization. I don't know that I would say the speech worked, but I think that words can have an invigorating effect.
Okay, but no, not that much, I don't think.
Okay.
Maybe, though.
You've never
Maybe pull people out of their heads.
been like sitting in a movie and someone gives this rousing speech and you have like goosebumps afterward?
Yeah, but that's sitting in a movie, not on a battlefield with a bunch of nerves going on. Not on a battlefield facing trolls and huge orcs and elephants.
Olifants.
Sorry.
Just kidding. I don't care.
What are we at for time?
About 42 minutes.
We better wrap this up.
Deal.
Potentially.
Next one will be better. We figured we needed to have a fight in front of everybody to get it real awkward for all the
Yeah,
listeners.
show you that we don't always agree on everything.
Because we only had 18
So
listeners.
now we're trying to drop it down to 9.
I've offended 2 of them, I'm sure.
No, I
You
cannot.
know, he doesn't listen, and Noah's too much of a fan.
So, yeah,
Consider this issue
pushed.
pushed to a standstill.
No, his back's against the cage. He just doesn't know it. That's all, folks. Have a good day.
And God bless.